Passing through the gates where we are taken to a higher realm, so no one wants to hear on that toxic cell. The bell of our ancestors where it's felt. Passing through the gates where we are taken to a higher realm, so no one wants to hear all that toxic cell. When the bell of our ancestors where it's felt. Passing through the gates where we are taken to a higher realm, so no one wants to hear all that toxic cell. When the bell of our ancestors where it's felt. Passing through the gates where we are taken to a higher realm, so no one wants to hear all that toxic sound. Ring the bell of our ancestors where it's felt.
Yes, what's going on? What's going on? Um, Welcome again to another episode, another podcast, podcast, podcast. And first of all, an acknowledgement. I'd like to acknowledge Pangaea Yananin, also known as our Grand Sovereign Commander, His Excellency Dr. Malachi Saduk Kwabena York, and the family and the worldwide Sabians. Also, a special acknowledgement to the Queen of Sheba, the third, Kasambura, Deborah Amelia, the Queen of the South, the Mother Throne of all thrones, and also the royal family, princess, prince, commanding officers, knighted crown ambassadors, chancellors, prime ministers, government, senators, also the task force officers and the task force officers in training. And those of you who are showing affinity, like to welcome you, you know, okay? Those are acknowledgement. And with that, like to continue on. I did take a little bit of a slight detour um yesterday, but I'm very careful today because I'm also posting this onto the African Kingdom Federation site on my video, some videos, you know, just to populate the site and get it popping. You know what I'm saying? It's a great site and it's a great resource, you know. And so I'm gonna play some of the videos there. But again, this is simultaneously being broadcast. Hold on a second. Simultaneously, this is being broadcast YouTube. So subscribe to my YouTube, Silos Congas. My Facebook is Silos Congas. LinkedIn is also Silos Conga. So this is going to be broadcast in many different platforms, you know. And so with that being said, we've spoken about Earth Energy Center, right? The 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 Áazub Qabat, which is the Earth Energy Center, and that's in the Sabiic language, Sabiic tones, Lahaj, Nagum, and so dealing with Earth Energy Center again, we're aligning ourselves with Earth magnetic field, and we spoke about applied sciences that uses the magnetic field, and we also discussed of how this magnetic field also how it navigates and it deals with migrations of fishes and animals, and also how the earth magnetic field also causes plate tectonic shifts, you know what I'm saying, and how the continents have spread. Later on I show you what I was going to show you in the other podcast of the different again formations of the landmass, you know what I'm saying. And so we spoke about that, and also how it deals with ancestral patterns and genetic blueprints for the simple reason that migrations, the ancestral patterns and how our ancestors had traveled, and how they migrated, and all has to do with, again, the Earth magnetic field, and how is it reciprocal to the star energy center, which is where you connect to the source, right? Now we're going to go in and shift it a little bit because what can block and why did you see the genetic blueprints, ancestral patterns, and this applied sciences of dealing with geomagnetism, all of that is the light that casts a shadow. Now, a shadow is different than darkness and blackness. We're talking about shadow, like a gray area. When the sun and the object and the cast is a shadow. This is what can happen when you deal with this light, the frequency, electromagnetic forces. And so when these electromagnetic forces are funneled into this earth magnetic field, it casts the light of, again, magnetism. Electromagnetic becomes magnetism. It becomes, again, ancestral patterns, genetic blueprints, and geomagnetism. The shadow that it casts is the shadow of separatism, doubt, separatism, and racism. Because the more and you have to be very careful, because the more you start getting into the source and connecting yourself with ancestral patterns, the more you have to be careful that you can separate yourself from the rest of humanity. In other words, you find out about your genetic blueprints, right? And you say, "Well, man, I got a lot of African, or I got a lot of this, and I got a lot of that." That's different than what the Asians have. You know what I'm saying? That's different than what the European. You start separating yourself. You start putting yourself in this little in this box. Instead of saying, just like I have this ancestral pattern that's connected, so does Alberto Perez. So does everybody else. So does humanity. no matter where you come from, it's gonna have some type of ancestral pattern. You know what I'm saying? Because that's that magnetic field, right? That deal with this field that we deal with in dealing with the earth energy center. So you have to be careful of that. And then that'll cause racism, bad racism, because again, there's good racism and there's bad racism. You can learn, you know what I'm saying? It's okay to have that affinity for your people and learning about your culture, those cultivating those conditions and where you come in, whatever. But then in the and that's okay when it comes to dynamic of existence, you have to care for that. But then you have to also transcend that and see that just like you have an ancestral pattern, so does animals and trees, and so does other the rest of humanity has this ancestral pattern. You get, see what I'm saying? So then, if you are invested in knowing this, you have to be careful that it doesn't cast that shadow of separatism. You know what I'm saying? That's the shadow. So if that does happen, you have to do shadow work. You have to connect back to the source, and you have to think about and impact all the dynamic of existence. And we're gonna go over some of those dynamic of existence. You know, so that's very, very, very. You have to be very, very careful when you deal with Earth magnetic field. You know, and when you start again, these applied sciences, learning about your DNA and learning about the ancestral patterns and the migrations and stuff like that. It's good to know, but then again, don't become into they are them and we are us. No, we are them and they are us. You know what I'm saying? And that's quoting the Queen of Sheba, third, the Imperial Majesty, her Imperial Majesty, Queen of Sheba the third, Kasambuba. You know? And also Panabayanenin, even though he understood this, to give you a a not a proudness, but a respect for your genetics and your tribe and your nation and people, right? At the same time, he's connecting you to humanity and telling you that just because this person does this to you doesn't mean it's always going to be like that. You know what I'm saying? Those atrocities that happen to us as a people, you know, again, antisocial characteristic are going to bring that into the play. You know what I'm saying? And, so that's very important about separatism and stuff like that. So again, the balancement. The balancement is learning. Again, the balancement is this magnetic field and learning how to ground and seed yourself. When you ground and seed yourself, you got to be careful as not to separate yourself. That dynamic. That's why in the love of self is one of the most dangerous of all the habub is the most dangerous one because it can cause you to become against separatism and be against and be like they're against us and they're after, that's antisocial characteristics. You know what I'm saying? It's like they thinking someone is out to get them. Someone is out to do something to them. You know what I'm saying? And that's antisocial characteristics. And we have to be careful as not to develop that within ourselves. So to be a living example for the rest of humanity, for our tribe, for our people. You know what I'm saying? Cut that again, that speculative talk. Get to the realness, get to the applied sciences, and get to understand all these dynamic of existence. And that you're gonna learn. We're gonna go over that more and more. I'm just waiting for Friday when we have our class here in the USA, okay, with the Crown Ambassadors, right, and the commanding officer, Sir, Lady Marlene, Sir, and we have these classes on Fridays, and we start discussing those. Then what I'll do is I will these videos, this podcast that I do, I tie it into other doctrine to line it up and see, this is the skill and technology that teaches us in Scientology, but this is the doctrine that a lot of us have in either in the Abrahamic faith or in the other doctrine like Buddhism or you know or Sikhism, different other doctrine and how humanity finds it's other nations in humanity also finds their inspiration, right? That spirituality, inspiration, aspiration in their teachings and doctrine, which lines up. And then when you study all of these teachings and doctrine, you create the science, you sense it, common sense, and you say, wow, this is similar to this, similar to that. You know what I'm saying? This is it. And then you come with a technology, what they call the technology of study, and you come with this technology, which is understanding suppressive personality in this case, or separatism, and knowing the difference between grounding and seeding, right? And connecting with your genetic blueprint and your ancestral pattern as opposed to separatism. The separatism is the moon energy. They call in the wheel spiral, the moon energy. The sun energy will be the genetics, the science and the genetics and the magnetic field. And then in the center is the grounding and the seeding. It's at the center. Qabat, the grounding and the seeding. So the separatism could change, right? Also with the light of the aligning yourself with your genetic, all of that can change. But the thing that cannot change is the center. The dot in the center does not change. The outer band changes, but the center does not change. And that center is the grounding and seeding. And then you use applied science to ground yourself and to seed yourself. Ground yourself and seed yourself with your genetics, but then careful that you don't uproot it with separatism and cause a detrimental environment around you. You know what I'm saying? So also, I just want to do something real quickly here, and um, and just to give you a little taste of Wu Sabat, and this is from the Revelations of Sabaeans, Revelation of Sabaeans, and I find it very interesting, very very inspiring. Do nothing to others. Do nothing to others you would not want them. You wouldn't want done to you. Again, do nothing to others you would not want done to you. You see this a lot in comedic science. You see this a lot even with the 19 courses. Teaches this when it deals with the integrity and honesty. Those are morals and ethics. If you see here, the Morals and Ethics Appropriation Committee is a committee that I started in which I want to expand more. Okay, the Council of Nine Morals and Ethics Appropriation Committee. Do for others what you want done for you. Do for others what you want done for you. Be the initiate, right? Right. Minimize your lustful desire by maximizing your vigilance and resistance to temptation. Again, do minimize your lustful desire by maximizing your vigilance and resistance to temptation. Okay. Do avoid negative temptation by keeping away from them and departing from their presence. Again, the suppressive personality. Sometimes you have, again, those negative temptations. It tries to draw you in, right? Keeping away and departing from their presence. Do not gossip or slander others you will not want to be slandered or gossiped about. Don't gossip or slander. Again, dealing with the 19 courses, okay? Dealing with the conflict, how conflict starts, you know what I'm saying? And also suppressed personality, antisocial people, spread rumors. Everybody knows, don't go in there. That's bad. Everybody knows, you know what I'm saying? It's this is their narrative. You know what I'm saying? So keep away from that gossip. Do not use drugs. Do not use drugs except for medical purposes as prescribed by qualified, right? A qualified, excuse me, physician of your race. You know what I'm saying? Because again, you got to be careful sometimes. Sometimes certain other nations, tribes, nations, and countries have a different way of taking care of the body. So you want to make sure you have somebody of your tribe, of your ethnic ethnicity, of your race, as a doctor that understand your body, your mind, just the same way you understand it. That's not separatism. That's just being, honoring that dynamic of tribal and family. You know what I'm saying? The best if the best, well, the physician for the Sabian will be the Sabian. Do not abuse, hurt, or torture a person of another race or species and stay in accord with our own. Again, do not abuse, hurt, or torture a person of another race. That's wrong racism. You see? You be proud of who you are, whatever, but when you start downtrodden, you start abusing, torturing, or hurting another person of another race, because again, separatism sets in, antisocial person characteristics sets in. You know what I'm saying? Do not character assassinate others as you will not want your own family's character assassinated. And you see this a lot. Sometimes antisocial characteristics and these suppressive personalities sips it, they sneak in and cause this character assassination. You don't want your family to be character assassinated, right? And don't do that. Don't character assassinate anybody. That's an antisocial, again, characteristic. Do use natural herbs and vitamins to maintain fine health if needed. You know what I'm saying? Herbs, sometimes vitamins. And if when you deal also with the 19 courses, you're gonna read about the effects of drugs and how to remedy that and certain nutrients that you need in your body. That's the reason why people relapse, because drugs deplete some of these vitamins and some of these nutrients. And so you need to put it back in the body so that the dopamine are not void and they want to fill it, you know what I'm saying, with the drug, and that's how they relapse. Again, this is included in the 19 courses. And the skill and the technology of that is included in the 19 courses, right? Do pronounce the name Ranan of our ancestors, often for positive mental and spiritual balancement. So think about your ancestors, the names of the ancestors, Geb, or the name of, what we say, the Queen of Sheba, and Shaba, and it goes back into lineages. Um, when you deal with ancient ancestors as opposed to your ancestors are different, you know what I'm saying? So, Raye, I say Usir, you know what I'm saying? Geb. And some people in other religion have certain, again, names of ancestors. Again, if you're going to be into that doctrine and dogma, which is the reciprocal of the separatism, because doctrine and dogma causes separatism, remember, it's reciprocal. Sometimes you're calling on names that have nothing to do with your ancestry pattern at all. People out there calling names that has nothing to do with their ancestry pattern. So who's listening to you? You got to ask. Who's listening? You know what I'm saying? If you're going to call on your grandfather or your grandmother, be aware that they also had problems too. They had things that they had to, and the only way that their spirit or their soul, their etheric being, right, primordial being is going to be purified is through you. You're the key. You're the key to unlock that when you purify yourself, because remember, you are your mother and your father. Your mother and father is their mother and father, and it goes on and on and on and on. You know what I'm saying? We have to be very careful. But when you talk about our ancient, you're talking about Tahuti, you're talking about um, um, Aset, Usir, you're talking about Bess, you're talking about, you know what I'm saying, those ancient ancestors. And I've shown the 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 papyri of the nine characteristic personality in the breath that inspires us in terms of humanity, and we got to get in tune with that. For instance, Assad deals with agriculture. It deals with ascension, or Heru deals with ascension. Heru, ascending over this drama, the storm, and you're ascending on that, and you connecting with the source, right? Assad deals with unity, unification. Assad unified the 14 different houses and families and took them into Kemet, brought them into Kemet and unified them. And then he himself ascended with the help of Assad, Heru, and on and on and on. Aset was present because she nurtured Assad, took care of him, right? Got Anubis. There's certain stories that tell a certain backstory, okay, of how these character and personality plays on our very lives, inspires us, inspires us. But people are calling on different names, you know what I'm saying? Not to discredit if you're gonna, you know what I'm saying, because if you're an Arab and you're from that descendancy and so and so and so, and you understand about Muhammad and you understand that, then it's okay to call on that. But when you're not connected in a way, which a lot of us are connected because of the Asiatics, of the what they call Ishmaelites or the Asiatic people, and Islam play a very important school in the development of the African country and throughout the world. You know what I'm saying? A very, very important way. So you can call on, right? Jesus, Christianity plays a part, but there are people that really connect. Like you can't go to a Chinese person and tell them to connect to honor ancestors is Jesus when they have nothing to do with it. Nothing at all. You know what I'm saying? We don't have much to do with it. That's Greek, even though might have some genetics that I might have slipped in, very, very small percentage. You know what I'm saying? So people call on names thinking that that's the ancestor, but it's not. When you have to be careful with, and also in Yoruba, people call in, how can you call Ogun or Yemaya when you have no connection with Nigeria, Benin? I have Benin bloodline in Congo or more Benin. I got Benin bloodline and stuff, but I don't, it's not as prevalent. It's not as much as my Mali connections. But then again, that's causing a little separatism when you deal with life and calling in humanity. We have certain character and spirituality that we can use that it represents. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they call calling on the ancestors. You know, very to pronounce. So do pronounce the name Usir, Heru, Heru. For those who want to call on Jesus, you're talking about Heru, the ability to ascend over the drama. Ascension, and then the white hat, the Hejet. You know what I'm saying? And now do obey all of the ways of Wu Sabat at all times as found in our way of life. So if, you know, again, this is dealing with the revelation to the Sabaean and Wu Sabat. Obey all the ways of Wu Sabat if you want to call yourself a Sabaean. You are a Sabaean, right? Do speak our own, again, Milsan tongue wherever and whenever to tune your inner and outer being to the omniverse. This is our way of tuning. Wu Sabat, Sabah, Sabah, right? And the serious constellation, the omniverses, you know what I'm saying? And that constellation, this is how we in tune ourselves. We're all in tune. Again, reciprocal. We're here on Earth, but we are in tune with the multiverse. When we look up to the stars, we're wondering what's the stars. And then you can go into many different doctrines. You see how the star played a very important role. Even when you look into Christianity, it played a very important role when Jesus was born. You know what I'm saying? And the star, and talks a lot about star. And also in Islam talks about the star. And Laylatul Qadri talks about the star and how they manifest. You know what I'm saying? And the Israelite paradigm, stars. You know, do always have a clean body in your body. Again, that's dealing again with the dynamic. The one about the stars is dealing with the transcending, and that's the dynamic of the multiverse. Let's say the most high frequencies, right? And that dynamic. And then again, your body. Care for your body. Have it clean. Clean your body. Do always have a clean body inside and out, right? Do always smell fresh. Smell fresh. I bought some oil. I got Tunisian frankincense. Man, I I love the scent of Tunisian frankincense. There's certain scents. Smell good. Smell good. You know what I'm saying? Clean your body and smell good. You know what I'm saying? People be like, you're fresher, your scent of a fresh air. You know what I'm saying? So you have to clean your body inside and out. So cleanse your body. Sometimes you have to take that laxative. Sometimes you gotta cleanse the inside your body. You know, I just did a lot of something on Facebook, and I talk about spiritual debris and how people are stuck in their gut. There's so much feces in their gut, and sometimes you have to clean the body. Has to. You know, so you clean your body inside, you got to clean it outside. And Dr. Sabi talk about cleaning the cellular structure, this body and the mucus in your body. There's certain things. That's some things I have to do also, to be honest with you. Certain things that I have to do. You know what I'm saying? But it's very important to clean your body on the inside and out. Okay. Do always keep a clean mind of foul thinking. Again, sometimes that has a lot to do with what you're eating. You know what I'm saying? Foods are thoughts. I just say food for thought, foods are thoughts. You know what I'm saying? When you show me a person that's eating very bad, and I show you a very bad mind and very bad thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Because their body, again, that deals with the dynamic. A lot with the dynamic of existence when you deal with the skill. You know, do not use foul language. Lahad. Do not use foul lahaj language, man. That's something I cannot tolerate. That's my pet peeve. I cannot tolerate people with this foulness, simply with the foulness, because that's against spiritual dietary. When you go into Christology, that's another doctrine. One day I'm going to do a presentation on Christology. So you have Scientology, you also have Christology. You know, you got many different sciences out there, and 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 we look at that. Do stay in tune with natural nature and its process. Again, natural nature and its process, the dynamic, that being conscientious of this dynamic of existence. Very, very, very important. You know what I'm saying? Very, you know? So you can see how this all lines up, you know what I'm saying, with those 19 courses or more. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm enjoying the 19 courses, because these are actually skills in technology. And then at the same time, you can expand it, expansion, paut, expanding this with, you know, Wu Sabat, with the biblical narrative, you want to use that. You know what I'm saying? I'll do that on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? For my Bible thumpers out there. Just to, I don't want to put too much energy into certain things, but I think sometimes it's necessary to just give tastes so you can see that this is a global thing. This is global. Now, hold on one second. Let me change what's going on. Uh, I think it's getting dark outside, so I'm losing my light. And, and that's fine. Again, this is a global. a galactical thing, because you're dealing with the dynamic of existence. This is a galactical thing. It's taking your mind and transcendent. This is the transcendental mind. You see, all those stars are clusters of stars. It's like a reservoir of stars, and it goes further, further, reservoir of dark energy, a reservoir of dark matter. You know what I'm saying? This is a transcendental mind. You know what I'm saying? Be in tune with natural nature and its process of how space, matter, and time work. We're gonna go over into the nature. So these 19 these dynamic of existence, man. If I take it into nature, um, and Wu Sabat, it is just expands it. It's just enhances it to a point where you're like, wow. People say like, wow, it's interesting what you're saying. Or, yeah, because I'm reading, I'm studying, I have a willingness to know about Wu Sabat. I have a willingness to know about the nature. You know what I'm saying? I have a willingness to know things and I want to find out what I don't know. So I have that willingness to know, investigate, and that's what helps. That's what, you know, helps in you becoming a better student. You know? And that's in the dynamic of existence. I mean, not in the dynamic of existence, in the technology of study, in the 19 courses. I'm showing you how the 19 courses could be expanded and how you expand it and you start actually applying this to your environment, to your echo, applying it, you know. Um, do know and accept that in Wu Sabat, female and male person must have equal rights whenever and wherever possible and practical. You know that. And then when you deal with the United Nations and the human rights, and it's important to know about that. You know what I'm saying? They have this the rights of the human women rights and stuff like that. It's important to know. In comedic science, they say if you diminish the women, you diminish the man. If you diminish the man, you diminish the women. You see, there was a perfect balancement. As the women grow, the man grow. As the man grow, the women should grow. You know what I'm saying? This separatism can cause a problem when it comes to dealing. Again, these are dynamics of existence, you know, in these 19 courses. Okay. Do not overeat and do not undereat. Okay. So don't overeat and balancement, perfect balancement. Sometimes people eat when they're hungry or people eat just to be eating. I don't subscribe to that whole three meals a day. I gotta have my breakfast, I gotta have my lunch, and I gotta have my dinner. Only if I'm trying to gain weight, right? Because I have lost, when I lost weight and I try to gain weight. And now that I want to sustain my weight, I start cutting one of those. I'll snack here and there and there. And I might have, like in the Nation of Islam, one meal a day, or one good meal. And then during the day, you snack on little things. I have pumpkin seeds, pepitas that I like to snack on, and almonds. And I snack in all that because also that helps, you know, in the gut and clean out the gut. You know what I'm saying? And it gives you also certain nutrients that your body needs, especially for us being males and females too. Do raise and teach children. Do raise and teach muhradu children the best of things in our schools. And what does this include? You know what I'm saying? If our schools and administrations is not teaching them what they need to learn, then it has to be happens in the home. Your first school, your first teacher is your mother, and your first school is in the household. You got to teach them the best that you can. You know what I'm saying? And as you learning and you have that willingness to know, you have to also inspire your children to have this willingness to know the right thing, not the detrimental, the right thing, the beneficial thing. And a lot of this include science, applied sciences, mathematics, very important. language, our story. You show them his story, and then you show them what's missing that is in our story. Teach them our story. Teach them your family story. Teach them these things so they can have this affinity for, again, the ancestral pattern. And this is also deals with the dynamic of existence when you have, and the 12 form of love, when you have love of family, habub for family. But again, caring for family is knowing the stories and the backstories. You know what I'm saying? How you meet grandma, those stories. Music, always. Our children should be learning instruments. There's something about music that teaches children how to be logical, teach them how to listen to tones and put them in the right place when it comes to harmonics, and teach them rhythms and how to balance themselves with rhythmic. That's time. Teach them about space, matter, and time by using music. And they should learn an instrument because that's an applied science. Applied science. Okay. Art, colors, art, drawing. You know what I'm saying? Show them about art and expose them to certain art. Go to an art gallery. Expose them. Take a trip with your children to an art gallery. That's a very and just show them that affinity for art. Like, what are you, what do you think about that? Do you like that? I mean, what do you see in this? What is the purpose of this art gallery? What's going on? You know what I'm saying? You expose them to, again, a condition, a culture, dance. Dance, man, we used to dance a lot. Today, I don't think they know how to dance today, but we had so many dances. Salsa dancing, salsa is an old Congolese romantic dancing. It started out very romantic in a danza in Cuba. You know what I'm saying? And they brought about Senor Rodriguez, who's from the Congo, and you teach them salsa. Take a salsa dance class, okay, and then just dance. Hey, put on some beneficial, some nice music, dance music, and dance. And then if they want to further on, modern dance. I used to watch my mother do modern dance in the house. Beautiful. She had that affinity for dance and music. You know what I'm saying? Astronomy. Because connecting to the stars and learning about astronomy and health, learning about herbs. A good book is Back to Eden. Is a good herb book, Back to Eden, and there's a lot of information out there. You can go into Dr. Sebi. You don't have to follow strictly those regimens, but at least know about what the man was talking about, and look into it, and line it up, check things out from all angles, put those pieces together in the puzzle. Very, very important. Okay. So, those are the nine things that you should really, really concentrate when it dealings with, again, that affinity, and dealing with habub, with family and tribes and the children, the young ones. Teach them science, applied sciences, that they can get away from that speculative stuff and get into the operative, apply. The mathematics is very important, you know what I'm saying? Because it also deals with economics, with finance and stuff like that. Language, our story, music, art, dance, astronomy, and health. Those nine things are very, very important. You know, you have to do the work. You have to, if you don't have to do that at a grand scale, but just try to pick one and introduce it to them. Hey, music, and then learn an instrument and play the instrument, get some drums, just jam with the drums and let's learn. Go to YouTube. YouTube has a lot of videos there that you can actually sit down and learn how to play a drum or something, learn how to play a guitar, learn how to play a bass. You know what I'm saying? Put on music classes. If you don't have the money, then just do it on YouTube and learn it as long as you learn it. My son's got a guitar and he strums the guitar. My other sons likes the keyboard, so I have a keyboard, guitar, drums. I got musical instruments in the house. Even my 2-year-old granddaughter likes to on the piano, and she likes to hit on the drum to expose her to that. And then I'll sit with her sometime and go A B C, the ABCs, but in the tone, the A tone, the B tone, the C, and I would do that with her. And I learned that from watching a friend, a great friend of mine, Gary Williams, and doing it with his daughter. That's very important because you're teaching this etiquette. You know what I'm saying? This is our Wu Sabat. This is our way. And the rule of our tribal society and responsibility to also respect all other living creatures of nature by their own nature. Again, in the 19 courses, you're talking about dynamic of existence, and then antisocial characteristic person doesn't have the respect for natural nature and their environment, the echo. Echo is habitat and environment. They don't have it. So the economics, when you don't have that affinity and you don't take care of your echo, your economics drops. Your the values, if you have a house, or the values of your zip code, all of that stuff starts dropping. So your insurance rates go high. It all impacts all of that. It's economics, it's echo. And that's because we condition to destroy our environment, so we destroy our economics. And then you have areas, rent a center, or you have a pawn shop. And I never rent around where there's a pawn shop or rent a center. And that zip code, or not, if not that zip code in that area, because I know that that's usury. You know what I'm saying? And in the neighborhood, that means in the neighborhood that zip code is depleting, because why? Antisocial personalities, antisocial characteristics. So it's important when we deal with this and learn it, you know, also the ECOSOC discussions that you can have at the level of United Nations for the community, and make them aware of that in your economics. If you're gonna want to be wealthy in your economics, you have to take care of your echo, your habitat, and your environment. Stop depleting it. By what? Littering, throwing garbage on the floor, destroying the plants, destroying the trees. You're not taking, again, that's why it's so important with dynamic of existence, these 19 courses, because the technology shows you and tells you, and also Wu Sabat would tell you, and also I guess in Proverbs, well, they don't mention too much in the Bible, but I'm sure there's been a Bible where you have to have that affinity for natural nature. I don't find it that much in the Bible, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Or in Islam. Abrahamic faith, for some reason, I don't find a lot of those. But it's very, 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 it's an it's far from trivial, man. This is very, very important. These 19 courses again, and you can see how you use the science and technology to live this way of life of Wu Sabat. This I'm just showing you of the connections that I make, the connection how I make and how I can use it. You know what I'm saying? And sure, everything is not kumbaya. Everything ain't perfect. You know what I'm saying? I got a 13-year-old grandson I got to deal with. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes my room is in a mess. And sometimes I get up and I'm cleaning, constant cleaning in my house. Again, having those existence of dynamic and taking care of your environment. So there's a work. People come in here and they see where you don't have the richness in terms of currency or money, but we're rich in soul and expression. We're rich in environment. Our environment is very rich. It's very clean. It's rich, and that's very important in terms of community and society, the betterment of society. And Wu Sabat teaches us this. You know what I'm saying? To have that respect. Do take your problems to the elders. And Wu Sabat, you got 24 elders, right? I was once asked to be one of the 24 elders, but I'm a council of 9 in Wu Sabat. You know what I'm saying? But go to your elders. If I have a problem, sometimes I speak to my elders, you know what I'm saying, for a central solution for the settlement and satisfaction. Again, sometimes it takes that third person to come in into, you know what I'm saying? Because if that also, when our elders know about these 19 courses and knowing about conflict and how to resolve conflict, and knowing about the third party and this and that, they can see something that you're not seeing because you're so caught up. That's very important. Okay. Very, very important. Um, no other race of people. Can step into our own tribal world. Well, again, this is not, you might say this is a little separatism, but it's very important because when you deal with tribes, clan, and tribes and houses, you have to be careful of, because a lot of that is genetically tied, right? And then it's not to separate yourself. It says that you're the only one, you know what I'm saying? And you got it right and everybody got it wrong. No, it's that we're all gonna be right, but we all gonna have to have a respect. It has to start from the respect for yourself and for your tribe. You know what I'm saying? So don't let no other person, no other race comes in and disrupt that, especially when you deal with a tribe, especially in Wu Sabat. You know what I'm saying? We do not go to outsider for our own solution. A lot of times, the solutions, the salvations, is at the end of your two hands. You can't go again. You have your ways, your protocols, your rules and regulation, your protocols. You have your set in place. No one can solve the Queen of Sheba African Kingdom Federation's problems or anything than the own ambassadors. I said she'll have private sessions with ambassadors and check, and for the problems to get the solution. You don't go to the outside sources. You don't. You don't go to the outside of that, because then you're asking for problems. You know what I'm saying? That's what that says. Do know do know all Sabaeans are citizens who are able to work for a living and need to work to support self, family, must do so in order to provide. Will impact that a little more. Again, that's the dynamic of existence, that's work and marriage and the workplace. And you see in the 19 courses, there's one called the workplace. Very, very, very important, because you have to have, your citizens, so you're able to work. So you have to again, survival. And we'll talk about that in the next round, next week, when we start going into the root energy center. The root energy center, and we're dealing with survival and preservation. You know what I'm saying? And we will start dropping a little more about that. But yeah, in the 19 courses, again, you know what I'm saying? That deals with the workplace. It deals with the ability for you to preserve yourself. Also survival, which is deal with the dynamic of existence of the urge to survive. Those 8 dynamics is an urge. It's called dynamo, a magnetic field. You know what I'm saying? Very, you can tie this all in to apply science. Do support your family, men of Wu Sabat, or whatever you rock. But in Wu Sabat, support the men. You know what I'm saying? Do support your household women of Wu Sabat, the ones in the house. Support them. Support. Do support. Do both maintain and upkeep your dwelling. Again, dynamic of existence. Wow, it's a lot. I'm not gonna go through all of this. A lot. Okay, let me just do one more. Do not recognize transgressors or those who departed our tribe over those still within. Okay, this is tribal talk. Okay, and that's interesting. Because there's people, even with the federation, saying we got to be careful for those that come through and then they leave and they talk very detrimental and derogatory and stuff like that. They had a bad experience, and everybody and not acknowledge. Not everybody gonna have a pleasant experience. Terry, what's going on? Everything is going? It's going good, Terry. Doing very good, Tori. Terry. I gotta reach out to you. Very good, thank you. So yes, a lot of times, you know what I'm saying, you might not experience great experience, even in tribes, in nations, you know what I'm saying, in parliaments, in nations and countries. Sometimes you're gonna have a bad experience, but not everyone is having the bad experience. Some are having great experience. But you got to be careful of those that have this bad experience and then go out there and then to start character assassinating, start saying derogatory things about the organization when they have, that's your experience. Take it and learn from it. But not everyone is having those same experiences. Why rain on their parade? You know what I'm saying? Because you now an authority. So now you go, well, everybody knows. So then you start into this antisocial narrative, characteristic narrative, and that's where the problems arise. You know what I'm saying? That's where the problem. So we're coming down to the hour mark. Thank you very much, Terry, for being here. Alberto Perez. So again, separatism, doubt, you know what I'm saying? Have to be careful with that because when you start dealing with ancestral pattern and then that deals with tribal and family, when we go up to the other energy centers, we've got to be very, very careful because the more you start connecting with genetic blueprint, and that is, you it can lead you, it's gonna cast a shadow. Sometimes the stronger light casts a stronger shadow. But what's blocking it? There's a blockage. There's something that's blocking it that's causing this shadow. And that's the third party, or that's the third element that we have to look at. You know what I'm saying? Those blockage. And you have to eliminate those blockages, you know. And so you can speak all day about I'm African, I'm this, I'm that, and that, but then don't downtrodden. European. Oh, I'm European. I'm European. I'm the best there is. And then you start downtrodden African. Or I'm Indians, and you start treating Congolese wrong. You know what I'm saying? You downtrodden, torturing and abusing. That's anti-social characteristic. And that's something that we have to correct, and that's something that we have to battle. And not battle, but we have to correct it. First in ourselves, right? If that exists within you, and then in our environment, and we have to, again, do the work. That's the opportunity that the Queen of Sheba African Kingdom Federation, that opportunity that you're being given a platform. Again, like I said, you can go to the United Nations and General Assembly, and sometimes you might not, you're a voice of it, and you feel like nothing's getting done. But the fact is that there's other nations there outside, outside of that General Assembly or that agenda, there's other events and things happening, and you can network. It's a forum, it's a place where people come together and you network. And that's the way it was in the land. You might not agree with Wu Sabat, in the land, or Wu Nawap or whatever, but you came there and there were people there of different tribes coming together there. You might not agree with this Yamasi government, or the Shoshone nation, or the Wichita nation that was present there in powwows, or present in the land, or the Tibetan monk. You may not rock with that, but the opportunities are there for whenever you want to have a dialogue away from the General Assembly, it can be done. You have that opportunity to do that. You know what I'm saying? And I'll read that further on later on for you. But yeah, um, you know what? I'm gonna end it there. I was gonna show you the let me see if I can find it. I was gonna show you the let me see if I can find it real quickly. The let me see. I was gonna show you the the Continental. Just give me a second. I'm looking for it. Um, and that's the Continental Shifts. You know, uh, okay, here. Let me get this one. Let me pin this. Okay. Let me also do this one. And now remember, I said that I was going to show you these. Okay. Let me for the first one. Okay. Let me share my screen and show you this real quickly before I go. And these were the what I was talking about. This here is Pangaea. This is from that book, the crust evolutions of the crust of the earth, and this is an applied science, and this is the what they came up with because they match certain, when you go into geography, in the environment, they match it. So this is very important. This is Pangaea. This is known as Pangaea. Laurentia, Europe, Asia. You see the formation, right? And you see that a lot of times they show the globe and the map of the globe and it's upside down, really. It's the other way around, but this is what scientists say. Okay, that's Pangaea. Then after Pangaea, when the crust, again, the continental plate started to move, you had Ganawa. This is where in Ganawa, this is where it takes place of the biblical story. Gan, Gan. You know what I'm saying? And this is where this comes from. So this is another sort of, you know, um, the whole continent, And then the last one was Rodinia, as you can see. You know what I'm saying? These shifts and these changes, that are happening with the crust, and this is a study, you know, this is a study, and this is what they, came up with. This is a study, and it's very interesting how a landmass started breaking up. You know what I'm saying? Interesting. Um, and you just have to take time to read this and to study these tapat, tapat, you call them, if I'm pronouncing that right. Tapat. So let me end it here. Um, and again, what I'm saying, this is the Earth Energy Center, and we're dealing with, again, the casting of the shadow, what they call separatism, and have to be very, very careful when you see a person is much more advanced. They know how to deal with seeding and grounding and teaching about this, but at the same time, careful as not to cause the separatism and racism, this wrong racism. You know what I'm saying? Those narratives. You can point out certain things, but then you have to be willing also to accept your flaws. If you're going to point out somebody else's flaw, another race's flaws and stuff, then you got to look at your flaws. All of that is interchangeable. All of that is interchangeable and alternate. You know what I'm saying? The blame could go back and forth, back and forth. You know what I'm saying? But the most important thing is that we transcend that in humanity. What are we doing now? What are we doing now to correct our environments? And the most important thing is the future is the youth. The youth is the future. You know what I'm saying? And what are we giving them? Taking them away from the speculative talk and giving them applied sciences, introducing them to things. So I'm introducing the youth, introducing a certain applied science in the other podcast that I did, and dealing with geomagnetism and learning how to really ground, what I'm saying, to the earth by learning, again, ancestral patterns, learning about migrations, learning how that deals with the geomagnetism and dealing with all of that. And then you have sciences like surveying, you know what I'm saying? Uh, and how that impacts us and then our environment, you know what I'm saying? So again, this when you seed and you ground, sometimes the light is the aligning to the magnetic field and the ancestral pattern that casts that shadow of separatism. Okay, the moon. So you have to balance it both. You know what I'm saying? You can draw back and see your tribe, like I show you, your tribe, that, and solidify that. But not to be again downtrodden another tribe, abusing and torturing another race, or another tribe, another nation. No, it's not done like that. That's the reason why in the United Nations, that just shouldn't happen. It's not allowed. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, maybe later on tonight we had a discussion about Ukraine. Some people are mad that they're gonna get like 80 what billion dollars. I don't know why. Where's that currency coming from? Who's paying for it? And Why are they even bringing that news? And I don't watch the news. You know, if I do watch a little bit of news, it's just to say, wow, they're really talking about that? They're really saying that? Yeah. They're pushing watch and see how people push certain narratives. So I watch that, and then I just watch the environment in my house and just make sure, you got people in my house that they'll look at the news and they say, that's a conversation. And it becomes a negative conversation. I don't want to have the conversations like that. If I want to have those negative conversations, I want to be back, I want to balance it with some positive, and I want to tilt the balance more towards the positive side if that's what needs to be done at that time, you know. So you can inspire people. Remember, positive and negative, centrifugal forces. You can inspire spiral people. You know what I'm saying? That's inspiration, inspiring people. But you have to be very careful that, you don't get caught up in the storm. You know what I'm saying? You don't get caught up in that spiral. You know what I'm saying? Because it's gonna whirl your world around. And that's where when you deal with Haru, the falcon overflying the storm and the drama, the storm overflies that directly to the sun and could fly over the storm. It's not even bothered by the storms. You know what I'm saying? His wings are heavy and it's balanced and over. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, with that being said, I'm here at the hour mark. All in blessings, and to the next one. Okay?